The game is cheating. The next boss is gonna kill me. Die, filthy boar. Tips for Dragon Age: play a mage, Yoshi. Don't play a fucking thief. Even though bald female dwarfs are really cool, but don't fall to the same trap I fell to, because they're really boring. They might be really strong, but they're really boring. Oh yeah, and you need all kinds of bug fixes, that is true. She does deserve it. Of course we agree. I hate her guts. Dragon Age use spell combos. Yeah, spells are so amazing in that game. It's not fun to play anything but a mage. Storm of the Century and Combining Grounds. I've never gotten very far in Dragon Age 1 because I wasn't a mage. I was a flipping bald female dwarf rogue. So I only used what's her face, the spider lady, in like the tutorial or something. So I don't really know anything about late game. Yeah, you only have them in the tutorial and you can tell them to do nothing. You can actually keep them way back, similar like I do with Vela in this game. You can do the same with your companions. And later you don't need a team. You can just dismiss them all. Male CC mage and the combo of some seals makes everything twitch around. That sounds good. Mage flaps everywhere. But you have to play a mage in that game, Yoshi, or it's gonna be too boring. No, don't play rogue. It's the most boring thing ever. It's boring. Trust me. German man. Thank you for the follow. Is German man a German man? If yes, moin. Okay. What were we doing? Oh yeah, this again. There's nothing wrong with stealthing, there's just something wrong with rogues in that game. That's all. Okay, Nogna. Enjoy your reading. Yes, the ability trees are very shallow, that is true. Rogues are OP in that game. Don't die on me again when I'm not here. I'm trying. Rogues always suck. This is not PoE 1. Burr. Vanishing Strikes. Is Vanishing Strike actually a PoE thing? That sounds like a PoE thing. Rogue is OP. Yeah, in Dragon Age it is. Wait, you have Vanishing Strikes and Deadfire? What does that actually do? I've never played a rogue except for my druid assassin guy. And that was just when alchemy was busted with poison stuff. Quest Seamus Meatum. Oh yeah, that was my problem when I played rogue. I didn't actually max stacks because people told me different stuff. Like someone told me to max stacks. The next person told me, no, you need to max this and that. I don't even remember what it was. So I ended up like putting points in bows. But it wasn't boring for me because it wasn't strong enough. It was boring for me because I saw all the cool mage spells and I was like, I could have had those. Yeah, I did barely finish tutorial. I was in the starting town. And yeah. That's it. I was in the starting town after tutorial and I didn't do anything there. I never played it ever again. Can you get Hylia's bounty without importing a run from PoE? Yeah. you can just pre-select a history, or you can just pre-make a history. You go to settings. Like if you go to settings in the main menu, there's a point here somewhere that says history, POE1 history. And you can create your own history, and one of the first options is actually where you get Hydea's bounty. It executes a full attack that gives you an unbreakable invisibility. Oh, really? What power level is that? How high of a power level is that? Where's girl? I don't see her anymore. Anywhere. Oh, it's 9. Okay, that's why I've never seen it. Because I've never played a single class rogue. Oh, there she is. Single class rogue mandatory. I mean, the assassin was pretty cool for the whole druid cheese, because you get accuracy from invisibility. It worked really well. It was so powerful that I got it to like ready to finish a game, but then I didn't finish because it was too easy. And then they nerfed alchemy, and now it's a shit class. But it was really good then. I don't know if it would have been good against mega bosses, probably not. But there were no mega bosses then. Stop pushing me, Skele boys. I'm your ally, remember. Hey, Abstract. Why is Bella terrified? She always is terrified. That's her thing. That's the only ability she possesses. Being afraid. She had that big switch from Blood Mage to Shanta. And the dad memes. I don't think we need slow-mo to fight this guy, now that I think about it. Shake and jump to Mike again.
I'll find a safe path. Just remember, if you die horribly, I can always revive you. That's a great idea.
Yeah, sorry guys. I had to be muted right now. The problem is our landlady, they're taking down trees outside right now. So right now we can't bring the chickens to bed, and they don't want to be outside, they're afraid. So they're inside and they're going crazy every now and then. I'm really sorry. But yeah, as Burrow said, if you don't have replenishable resources, I mean, everyone can use a Brilliant Cloak, and I guess Rogue could go Invis and somehow trigger it. But it would be pretty hard to do with a Rogue. What you probably... Oh no, you don't have Salvation of Time, so Brilliant doesn't really give you anything, yeah. That's the problem. If you don't have a Priest, you're pretty fucked in the ultimate because of Salvation of Time. It's just very big.
With pleasure.
It also helps that the Priest has Withdraw, obviously. I don't know if Monk Priest would be better. The thing is, Monk is kind of an exception because they're invisible when they do Whispers of the Wind, and they can also stun people with it when they have the Stalking Cloak on. So I think Monks would do fine single class. You'd need Withdraw Scrolls for Vela, but the thing is you don't need more than one per fight. You get her feared somewhere by like, you CC her here, for example. You run down to the enemies. Before the CC wears off, you quickly get the enemies over here. You withdraw her. You run, you kite the enemies back here. And then you just keep spamming Whispers of the Wind. And like, they can't really attack you because you're invisible. And you stun them all the time if you have the Stalking Cloak eventually. So Monk, solo, single class is definitely something where you don't need the Priest at all. It's just super strong without it. Oh yeah, that's also true. You can kick her away, but that doesn't help if she isn't feared. Like, or if she's feared in a specific spot, she will keep returning to that spot. So that's not really super helpful. You definitely have to find a good spot for her to be feared. That's definitely super helpful because if you're invisible with Whispers of the Wind, the enemies will go towards her if she's inside. So she has to be out of sight when you fight. Brilliance and Salvation of Time is a cheat. Not really. Not in this mode, not at all. I think it's actually required for most classes to beat this mode, except for stuff like Monk. There will be a couple of other single class. Shanta would probably do well without it too. But yes, the ultimate challenge, I don't think it was really thought through as in such a thing. It's just they wanted to make it as hard as possible, but stuff like Vela, yeah. Yeah, we're adding channels, almost just all of them at once. Yeah, you're totally right, Ratty. No thought at all. But I think it's still cool. It's a big challenge. It's hard to do, but that's what makes it interesting to me. Whenever someone says this is impossible, that makes it interesting to me. Vanilla or Natachka. I think there's a monk that... Yeah, the Forbidden Fist. Burra talked about it. I think they have a good way to generating wounds for Whispers of the Wind. I'm not really very familiar with the class at all. I'm not really familiar with most monks in general. And my chat app is still not working. Give me a second. Click through mode, please. As I said 10,000 times before. Okay, I think it works now. You have to max res for Forbidden Fist. Oh, Forbidden Fist has like a debuff or something. And I guess you have no duration then. I haven't really played Forbidden Fist myself, as I said. Enfeebled at level 1, right. But the monk also has that other ability that already gives you shorter durations. Like removes durations even. I use that for Salvation of Time, for the Paladin thing. Sacred Immolation, it was pretty great. Yeah, Clarity of Agony. That should help a lot with the Forbidden Fist thing as well. Yeah, it's basically how you play the monk abstract. Find a way to generate wounds quickly. I feel like the really bad monk class that gives you wounds on hit could actually work as well. Even though generally it's really bad. But if you're invisible all the time and you keep hitting enemies with Whispers of the Wind, I don't know if it's enough though. In general, it's really bad class for solo, but it might work for that specific combo. You don't need it with high res in some items. But don't you use that ability anyway? Like maybe you don't need max res if you have the ability. If it lasts for 1.3 seconds, the ability will basically disable the curse. And the ability lasts forever. It's not like it costs you a lot of wounds. Dumping int, I don't think that would work. It's an affliction, so only ras affects it. High ras means low affliction duration. Int only gives you longer beneficial effects. Max res has increasing returns. It's good to pile up on a high deflection car. That is true, but do you really need a high deflection monk if you're invisible all the time with Whispers of the Wind? That's why I'm dumping res on this bitch, because I'm gonna have Salvation of Time anyway with BDD. Finish POTD app skilled with Hellwalker and all mega bosses. Forbidden Fist is tricky for me. Okay. Yeah, I've never played it before. Oh shit, I did not mean to press that. Did I just get something I don't want? Ah, we're fine. Imagine pain gives you a wound if you get missed. Okay. Then max res is really good. Yeah, I've never been that much of a monk player in this game. In PoE 1, I loved monks. But ever since they nerfed the ranged fist damage in this game, it's like the same as a normal fist, so I don't really enjoy it. The ranged fist in PoE 1 was so broke, I loved it. Oh yeah, the disengagement misses, that is true. Yeah, that sounds really good. You can get so much disengagement deflection. Yeah, it's these specific abilities. The rogue has them, the monk has them, I guess. That specifically give you against disengagement, and all that type of stuff always stacks. Like normal deflection doesn't always stack, but if it's deflection against this or deflection against this, then it always stacks. It's the same as with the ranged accuracy. Like normal accuracy never stacks, but ranged accuracy does. So it is pretty insane. You can get like 200 without even trying with a disengagement deflection. So yeah, it's an insane way to get wounds for sure. If you have some movement speed on top of that, some stride, which usually is useless, but that would be pretty good as well, I guess, for faster disengagements. So yeah, monk is a powerhouse for sure. Yeah, long stride. Especially on the monks, the speed with long stride. I do not doubt that monk is the best class for the ultimate. I just don't want to play a monk because it's not my build, it's not my idea. I want to play my build, my ideas. I mean, at least partially. Always borrow stuff from other people. Like Burra told me about the Shillfox stuff, how to use it really effectively, and stuff like that. I got the conduit stuff from someone else, the Scardio's edge from someone else. Obviously, I don't come up with all of every single bit of my build, but still, the build in general, the idea behind this is from me, and that's how I want it. Or I would just play monk. I mean, you can make the same silly mistakes at the start and die with a monk as well. Yeah, Sheepstead, the thing is, we were testing around a little bit with triggering Brilliant with skeletons. Poor Burrow, he doesn't like me explaining stuff. Again. But yeah, basically, my idea is that you can trigger Brilliant faster if you have more summons to hit you. And also Worms and Beckoner should be pretty cool early game for fighting. Like Worms hit like a truck. So yeah, should be cool.
Wait here. I'll go on ahead. Absolutely. I'll find a safe
Misfur and Worm. I always forget what all of these are. What is Misfur? Oh, this. Oh, of course, this works in the summons as well. Yeah, that sounds good. That does sound good. Also, when we have Brilliant, we can use stuff like the accuracy on the worms as well, but obviously I don't really want to recast it every time I summon. So we're probably not going to do too much with that. Like, I think once we have Brilliant, we're not really going to use summons a lot. We'd rather use stuff like Tornado, Eltneri, I guess. But for early game, it's going to be pretty ball-ass.
Last name is Trickfoot Furby. Did you need anything else? I didn't even need to take my gauntlets off.
Okay, I used one less lockpick and still ran out. But hey, it's good that I look in this guy's inventory again, because otherwise I would have forgotten that he has onyxes. So that's awesome. Oh.
Last name is Trickfoot Furry. Oh, you thank me? That's a great idea.
Traps in Deadfire. Is there even a way to get more accuracy with traps? If you like level mechanics or something, do you get trap accuracy from it? You do, okay. Oh yeah, traps accuracy. It's still useless. I can see that. I can see that. I've never ever used a single trap in Deadfire. I mean, there was some people trying to convince me to use traps.
Just remember, die horribly. I can always
But even Thurston, who's always for these weird niche builds, even he didn't like traps, if I remember correctly.
absolutely.
He really liked explosives. No withdraw scroll this time. Feels bad. Dude, the other run was such a great run. Yeah, it does seem to scale with mechanics. It says trap accuracy and mechanics.
Still kicking, eh?
Just had a problem with Baldur's Gate 2 traps. Dude, Baldur's Gate 2 traps were OP. Still are. Skull traps. I've never gotten myself.
No contest. What? Just because you have webbed fingers and I can't swim?
I've never really gotten myself through to doing the skull trap spam. Like, summon images, do skull traps, rest, do the same thing over and over and until you have millions of skull traps. Even though it's really useful in LOB, I've never really done that. Oh, also, Raddy, did you know that the thieves traps, the spike traps and all that stuff are limited now? You used to be able to spam them, but now you can't anymore. You can set like 5 or 4 or something. But skull traps are still the same. Yeah, you could do a skull trap build. I mean, technically, the other traps are better than skull traps, the spike traps, but yeah, because they nerfed them and you can only set like 4 or 5 of them now. Skull traps are king. The time stop traps are actually really good as well. They just are very limited compared to the skull traps, but for example, against Kangax, they are really good for killing the first form of Kangax, because you can put a time stop trap where he's gonna spawn, and if you play on SCS, he does have precast spells at combat start, so you can't really hit him at the start. You have to remove like his precast spells, but if you have a time stop trap, he will never actually get his precast spells off, and you can just whack him and skip the first form entirely. Go to southeast. But I'm right here at the prison. Why would I go to southwest, I guess? This is much closer. No, to go to Gorachi, you need to go out of town. But I'm gonna do Gorachi when I come back from the ruins, because right now I don't need more than level 4. And since we freed Beodol, we got the quest XP for that. So now we will get to level 4 by just doing this.
You were looking for a Kawa? Look, I will tell that skinny little cheat to say yes. If I for that? Yes, don't be foolish. Well, what so then? What am I to do? I will.
I just went with the wrong dialogue option, but it doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, it's a level 4. Need to travel through the exit that you entered the town for the first time. Really? Wrong dialogue, reset. Nah, we didn't actually get anything bad from it, and even if we did, as long as it's not cruel, it doesn't really matter. We are a priest, it kind of matters, but then again it doesn't. We're not going to use the lash weapon a lot, and we don't really care about the priest heal thing. It's not like if you're playing a paladin, it matters a lot, but if you're playing fucking priest, it's like, who cares? Yeah, it does show you the level numbers. I didn't expect that when I started this first. But to be fair, it doesn't really matter because you can always tell by the power levels which level you're at right now. So I guess they thought that's unnecessary. But yeah, you are right. I expected that to be hidden as well. There's a lot of stuff. Also in dialogue, sometimes it shows you how much gold something will cost you. But then when you get the gold or when you spend the gold, it shows you question marks. It's really inconsistent sometimes.
I'm here. Just remember, if you die horribly, I can always revive you.
You know your level, now it's too easy. Exactly. Yes, Highness Barbecue is my brother. He actually made a video of the shashlik he did today, and he might share it a little bit later. Okay, so we're level 4. Oh yeah, also these numbers aren't hidden. Which, this is really extremely helpful that these aren't hidden. Like, if you mouse over them, the sources are hidden. But it doesn't really matter because for most stuff you know what it is. So like Kalia's bounty, you know it's 2, so yeah, you must have put 3 points into it, right? But yeah, that would have made the challenge really hard if those numbers were hidden. You just have to count how much points you put into something every single level up. I mean, it would have just made it more tedious, to be honest. Story mode. Time to screw up. Not again. I'm not gonna say it this time. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna die there ever again, like I said earlier, because that was bad luck. But there's no way we screw this up twice in a row. Let's actually double check our survival, but yeah, should be fine. Death. Death awaits. Which game was that again? Was Death Awaits? That was a pretty cool game. Ready in trigger mode already.
Absolutely. I'll find a safe path.
Not too frustrating, by the way. Not at all. I just don't take it too hard anymore. I used to get all super frustrated about it. But if I get frustrated about it, I'm gonna give up.
I'm sorry, but
That's the thing, Ratty. I would rage quit as well if I get too frustrated about it. So I can't get too frustrated about it, or I never do it. Death Awaits is a Roblox game. No, I wasn't talking about a game that's called Death Awaits, but I think it might actually also be in Baldur's Gate somewhere. Someone just says that quote in some storyline. But I'm not too sure which game it was. I didn't even know there was a game that's called Death Awaits. Might be a good game as well, because that's a good name. Get rid of this. Get rid of fast mode. This is actually kind of scary because these beetles have a lot more stealth detection than the ghosts, and also it's super unnecessary to actually pick this up. There's also a movie from 2005 that's called that. Yeah, the remainder time that you didn't use for one timer is saved for the next. You just don't always get a new timer. Like, there's one quest where you have to go to the palace in Serpent's Crown. You don't get a new timer there, but when you go to Azongo, you get a new timer, and if you have time left over from your previous timer, it does get added up. But there's not that many new timers. There's one after beating Maje, or rather after interacting with the statue in the ruins. There's one when you go to Azongo, and there's one after you beat the Fire Drake, and that's it. Or after you talk to Ael'thas, I guess. So the total time is something like 90-ish days, a little bit less than 90 maybe. If death awaits, then I guess you're still alive, since death is just awaiting you. Yeah, exactly. Not actually coming. There's no risk of death, so we will easily beat the ultimate without even trying. Yeah, death awaits sounds like something you will have in a lot of games, movies. Sheepster and Sheepstriker. We're gonna have war in chat now. I do not strike sheep, I sheep strike. It's like people with sheep. Wait, wasn't Worms a super old game on PC? Or is there a movie called Worms as well? I remember playing this game where you like shoot from one side of the screen to the other. I played it in school when I was a kid. The Worms games, yeah. Oh, it's from the movie The Worms. Yeah, I guess by now, these days, there's a lot of Worms games. But back then, like, there wasn't many games at all. Earthworm Jim. Isn't that a game too? Earthworm Jim sounds super familiar. It is, and it was crap. For some reason, when I hear Earthworm Jim, I'm thinking of this game where you run around with this little guy he's flying around with his Rasta locks or something. But that wasn't Earthworm Jim. That was another one. A very popular game actually, and a pretty fun game. At least for me. Even for the time it was crap. Worms with squeaky voices shoot each other. Oh yeah, that was a normal Worms game back then. Right? What you're talking about, Sheep Striker? That's what I played in school. Worms shooting at each other with bazookas. Yeah, they were silly and a lot of fun. They were so, like, we always played it against each other in school, like, whoever shared the desk was the other kid. And was one of the first, like, co-op games or PvP games or whatever you want to call it. What did those poor sheep do to you? I don't know. They just were in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was Tuesday, you know? It was Tuesday is all I can say. Mutton is tasty.
Wait here. I'll go on ahead.
They knew what they were getting into, but maybe the worms kidnapped them. It was Tuesday best logic. Yeah, but it's Lord Bison's logic. Lord Bison is never wrong. Lord Bison knows. Would be cool if you die in that puzzle flame. I think that puzzle, I actually figured it out first try back in the day. When I played this for the first time. I think it's pretty impossible to die there. Lord Bison from Street Fighter. I don't know if you ever watched that super silly Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme and some other people, Kylie Minogue. First, I started over about 10 times at this point. But we were talking about you a lot, about some of your builds, but you were never there. The bestiary traps were so annoying. I really hated bestiary league. You almost beat it, it's fine. Yeah, we're in Maje. We almost won. I didn't even know there was a point beyond Maje. Our builds are old as hell. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't necessarily like one-to-one copy one of those builds for the actual ultimate. But the thing is, you can use things of builds, parts of builds in a build that would work for the ultimate. Alright, let's do this a little bit safer now. Let's mind the AoE on these things. I just throw them here, if you ask me. Because then it can't accidentally hit anyone.